Hey everyone, I'm Emily with More to Me Designs and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to be doing month 6 for the Cotton Cuts Puzzle Mystery Quilt Are You Game? Month 6 already, guys, going super fast. So we're going to go ahead and get our directions out along with our key. We will be making 2 clues today, so they'll be identical and there'll be 2 pieces when we're all done. So go ahead, take all of your pieces out of the bag like we always do. Make sure you have all of the pieces accounted for that you need. Right here it'll show pieces in the pack. Make sure you have everything and then we will get started sewing. Alright, all of my pieces are accounted for. What we're working with first is number 1 is going to be join triangle C and E. Press towards the C fabric when you're done and you're going to make 2 of these. But we're making 2 identical pieces. So if you want to go ahead, you can actually make 4 because we're going to need them anyways to just do it again. It even says at the top make 2 so of everything that we have here. So we're going to go ahead and we're actually going to put 4 triangles together to form squares. So we have our C and E fabric. If you're working with Team Cranium, C is this really pretty light teal and then the E is the darker teal. It has the buttons and the thread on it. And we're going to go ahead, let's just put these to the sides or out of the way. And we're just going to go ahead and make 4 squares. All right. So we'll have something that looks like this. We'll put C in the upper left, just like the image, the E in the bottom right. All right. We're just going to go ahead and put all of these right sides together. You should all be pros at this by now. And we're going to go ahead and do a 1/4 inch seam allowance along the long edge on all 4 pieces. And then when we're all finished, we're going to iron towards the C fabric when we're finished. All right, so let's sew those together. All right, so we should have 4 squares now. They measure at 3.5 inches and you should have pressed the fabric towards the C fabric. So we're going to go ahead and put those to the side for now. And now we're going to be working with D and B rectangles, which if you're working with Team Cranium, that is your like navy blue and your dark purple. And we're going to go ahead and just make 6 of these. So go ahead and lay them out. D fabric on the top, B on the bottom. I'm getting so excited, guys. I cannot believe we're going to have a quilt so soon. We only have a few months left, and I just feel like they're flying by. Hope that you guys all had a great Christmas too, and a happy new year. Hope everyone's staying healthy and safe. Best thing to do inside is quilting and sewing, in my opinion. So, all right, so now we have 6 of these. So go ahead and we're going to put them all right sides together. And just go ahead and do a 1/4 inch seam allowance along that top edge on all of them. And then when we're all done with these, we're going to be pressing towards the D fabric, which is the navy blue if you're using Cranium. And then when we're all done, we should have a 5 by 3.5 inch rectangle. All right, so let's get sewing. All right, so now that we have all 6 of our rectangles sewn together with the fabric pressed towards the D material, we're going to go ahead and step 3 is joining our little blocks that we just made with the C and E fabric right to those rectangles we just created with D and B. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a C and E square and put it to the left of the D and B rectangle. Make sure that C fabric is in the upper left hand corner and that the E fabric is in the bottom right. We also want to make sure that our D fabric is on the top and our B fabric is on the bottom. So go ahead and put these right sides together. Sewing at a 1/4 inch seam allowance along this edge, making sure that when you're sewing, you're not getting these flaps, you know, twisted back or anything. Make sure they're laid nice and flat on the back side of your fabric. Sorry about that, we had a little visitor. Mom life to the best. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and, like I said, sew those right sides together at a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and we're gonna do 2 of them that way. So we're creating 2 pieces that have the C in the upper left and the D on the top. But our next step, we're actually going to flip them. So only make 2 of them like this for right now. So go ahead, put right sides together, 1/4" seam allowance. And then when we're all done with those, we're actually going to press towards the D and B fabric, which is your rectangle. So let's go ahead and get those sewn. Alright, so now you should have something that looks like this all sewn, and I went ahead and I pressed my seam allowance towards the rectangle side, which is your D and B fabric. So go ahead and put these 2 pieces to the side for right now. Go ahead and grab 2 more rectangles and 2 more squares, but this time we're actually just going to do them the opposite. So we're actually going to have C fabric on the bottom left hand corner, E fabric on the upper right, and when we grab our rectangle, we're going to have B on the top this time, and we're going to have D on the bottom. So you should have something that looks like this. So go ahead, press those, or I'm sorry, stitch those right sides together, and when we're all done, we'll also press towards the D and B fabrics like we did the last time. Go ahead and get those stitched. Alright, once that's completed, you should have one that looks like this. So you'll see when they're all done being sewn, they're just the opposites of each other. So go ahead and put those pieces to the side. We're going to be working on step 5 now. We're going to be joining our large D square to the remaining rectangle that we have left that we created. So we're also going to do this twice. So go ahead, grab your large D square, and you're going to put the rectangle to the left side of your D square, but you're going to have your B fabric be the one that's touching the D square. So we're just going to go ahead and do this twice. So go ahead and put them right sides together, 1/4" seam allowance, and when we're all done, we're going to be pressing towards the B fabric, which is the rectangle. So go ahead and get those stitched. Alright, so now we have 2 pieces that look like this. We have our B rectangle in the middle sandwiched between these 2 D fabrics, and I went ahead and pressed my seam allowance towards the B fabric. So go ahead and take one of your rectangles you have here. It should be an 8-inch, an 8x5-inch measured piece, which is perfect. Okay, so go ahead and grab your rectangles that have the C fabric in the upper left-hand corner. So remember we did 2 sets, but they were different. So go ahead and grab the one that has the C fabric in the upper left-hand corner, because what we're going to do is we're going to sew that to the top of one of your bigger pieces. So you should have something that looks like this. We're on step 6, and this is going to end up being an 8-inch square when we're all done. And we're going to go ahead and sew these right sides together. So we have our C in the upper left, and we have our D fabric on the top. Go ahead and line these up, get some clips, make sure everything's nice and straight, and make sure when you're sewing, this gets a little bit tricky right here because you have seam allowances pressed different ways. So just make sure that those are flat when they go through the needle. You'll regret it later if you don't. So go ahead and sew 1/4" seam allowance along the top, and we can actually just do this twice. So our other piece that has the C fabric in the upper left hand corner, do the same exact thing. Lay them right sides together, 1/4" seam allowance. Go ahead and get those stitched. Alright, so we should have something that looks like this now, and we're moving on to our last step. If I didn't mention it in the last part, go ahead and press towards the top, which is going to be your step 3 piece that we created. Go ahead and press towards that. So we're going to go ahead and add our last pieces now, and you're going to see them come together. So we're going to take our remaining piece, and we're going to go ahead and put, so it's C on the bottom left, E on the upper right. We have the B fabric on the top, D fabric on the bottom. So you should have something that looks like this when it's all finished. So go ahead and put right sides together and do exactly what we just did. Make sure you're keeping these seams flat when you're stitching them, and we're going to go ahead and do that twice, and that is going to complete step 7. It should measure out to be an 8x11" clue. So go ahead and get those stitched, and we are almost done. And look at that, guys, we are all done with month number 6 already, all complete. So you should have 2 pieces that look like this. I'm just in awe of how these pieces are just coming together. I love this fabric combination. I cannot get enough of Team Cranium. I just think they are just such stunning colors, and the way that, everything was cut and placed, I literally am so excited. I cannot even wait. Every time that it's, you know, I'm ready to put my pieces together, I get so excited because I love how quick and easy everything is. So I'm already so excited for month 7. And then I swear we're going to have a quilt before we know it. So if you guys have any questions, comment below, but I think that everything was pretty straightforward this month, like it has been. They've made it so easy for us. So I'm super, super excited, guys. So comment below how you guys are doing. Hope you guys have a great new year, and I will see you next time for clue number 7.